There is nothing more frustrating than trying to tell somebody that something they did upset you, only to be met with defensiveness and getting told that you are misunderstanding things, and somehow the situation gets flipped around so that you become the problem. Thankfully, there is a way to give criticism and bring up our very valid concerns in relationships in a way that minimizes the chances of provoking defensiveness in the other person, and that gives us the best chance at being heard and getting a heartfelt apology. And in this video, we're going to be talking about exactly how to do that. If you are new to this channel, hi, I'm Audrey. I'm a therapist, and on this channel, we talk about tools for improving our relationships, work lives, and overall mental health. In our last two videos, we've been talking about apologizing and how to deliver a genuine relationship-saving apology when we've been the wrongdoer. Today, we're talking about what if we are on the other side of that coin and we are the ones who've been wronged and we are the ones who haven't gotten an apology. No one's gonna like hearing what I'm about to say, but it is a really good thing and I'm gonna tell you why, so I hope you'll stick with me. If we aren't getting heard or we aren't getting an apology, there is a chance that we might be contributing to that. I know, but this is a really good thing because it means that there's something we can do about it. Now, I'm not suggesting that we are responsible for someone's failure to apologize, and obviously we can't make someone drop their defenses and we can't make someone admit fault. What we can do though is learn this essential skill of delivering criticism in relationships in a non-attacky, non-confrontational way so that we can avoid triggering any further defensiveness in the other person and make it more likely that we will be understood and get an apology. Luckily for us, psychologist Harriet Lerner has made learning this skill so much easier for us, and she has broken it down into 6 steps, and we're going to be going over them together in this video. I've also added 2 extra steps that I picked up somewhere. Unfortunately, I don't remember the resource anymore, but I can say from professional and personal experience as someone who has also struggled with giving criticism in relationships that this stuff works. This video is based on Harriet Lerner's incredible book, Why Won't You Apologize? And on her interview on Brene Brown's podcast, Unlocking Us. They did a 2-part series together called How to Apologize and Why It Matters. Again, I will leave links to both resources in the description. Please check them out. They will change how you approach relationships forever, for the better. For today's video, we are bringing in Defensive Dan and Mature Mark's partners. If you missed our series on apologizing where we introduced Defensive Dan and Mature Mark, these guys have been on their phones a lot on date night lately, and their partners are not happy with them about that. I thought it'd be interesting to hear from their partner's perspective, so today we are going to be hearing from accusatory Abby and thoughtful Thea, and they're going to help us demonstrate these 8 steps. Step 1 is one of the steps I added to Harriet Lerner's, and that is to set the stage for the conversation. Accusatory Abby has really bad timing. She likes to bring up criticisms right before they're about to go to bed or right when her partner walks through the door after getting home from work. She also launches straight into her accusations without any kind of warning, and inevitably, this leaves her partner feeling completely blindsided. On the other hand, thoughtful Thea knows that what she has to say is going to be hard for a partner to hear, regardless of how well she communicates it and how good her timing is. So to at least make sure that she's not blindsiding her partner, she sets the stage for the conversation by saying, "Hey, I've had something on my mind that's been bothering me that I wanted to talk to you about. Is now a good time?" This gives her partner a hint that some criticism is coming, and it also checks in with them to see if they are even in a space in this moment to hear it. And by setting the stage, she's setting both of them up for success. Her partner is going to be more likely to take the criticism well, and she's going to be more likely to get the empathetic response that she's looking for. Step 2, say it shorter. Accusatory Abby thinks that the best way to get her point across to her partner is to double down on it and elaborate her argument as much as possible and include as many points as she can so that there's no way that her partner won't get it. Unfortunately, this strategy has the opposite effect. Harriet Lerner says that over talking on our part leads to under listening from the other person. It's already hard for them to listen because nobody likes hearing criticism. And so if we want the best chance at having the other person really sit with and absorb what we have to say, we need to keep it as concise as possible. The shorter, the better. Good news, all of these steps are going to make it very clear what we should include in our short statement and what we definitely should leave out. So let's keep moving on to step 3. Stick to the facts. Accusatory Abby makes 3 critical mistakes when giving criticism. Number 1, she overly accuses. So she might say something like, you were on your phone all the time. You've barely even looked up or paid any attention to me. Even though, let's say, objectively, her partner was on their phone 15% of the time, which is still too much, but accusatory Abby was making it sound like it was 95% of the time. Number 2, she pushes her partner to assume more than their fair share of the blame. Yes, it was accusatory Abby from last week's video who was blaming her partner for causing her to get into a fight with her best friend because she was in a bad mood from him being on his phone. And number 3, she makes her partner's behavior of him being on his phone mean something negative about him and his character. So she might say something like, what is wrong with you? You're literally so rude and inconsiderate. The classic, what is wrong with you? The statement that brings your very character into question. No one enjoys having their character criticized, and no one enjoys being on the receiving end of criticism that is inaccurate or unfair. Thoughtful Thea, on the other hand, sticks only to the objective facts, and the most solid, irrefutable fact here is how she feels, which is why step 4 is to focus on how you feel, not on the other person's crime sheet. Accusatory Abby starts off her sentences with you. You were on your phone the whole time. You are so rude. You don't care about me. Any sentence that starts with you is an accusation, and accusations are only gonna ramp up the other person's defensiveness. Also, accusations are potentially not true facts. It might not be true that accusatory Abby's partner doesn't care about her. What is 100% true here, though, is how she feels, which is that she is hurt. No one can negate the fact that you are hurt. Thoughtful Thea knows the number 1 communication technique for healthy conflict and for making sure that we're communicating feelings instead of making accusations, which is to, instead of starting sentences with you, start sentences with I. So, you disappointed me becomes, I felt disappointed when you insert disappointing behavior here. Much less attacky, much less confrontational. So this is a way that Thoughtful Thea might bring up her criticism with her partner. I've noticed that lately you've been frequently checking your phone on our date nights, and I've been feeling pretty hurt by that, and I feel disappointed that, we're supposed to spend this quality time together and I feel like I can't get your attention. By framing her criticism this way, using I statements, she's still expressing her feelings and she's still getting her full point across without accusing her partner and without making them responsible for her feelings. And that is how she is going to have the best chance at her partner taking responsibility on their own. The reason why I statements are so powerful is because they force us to shift from blaming to assertive claiming, which brings us to step 5. Accusatory Abby is under the impression that the harder she blames and shames her partner, the higher the chance that they will feel remorse for their actions and apologize. Again, unfortunately, this has the opposite effect. Shaming her partner by smacking these labels of rude and a bad partner on him is only going to trigger his defense mode. Also, not only does blaming and shaming make it very unlikely that we'll get an apology, it also harms the other person and it harms our relationship with them. Thoughtful Thea knows that if she wants her partner to understand her point of view and see how his actions impacted her negatively, she is much better off practicing assertive claiming, which essentially means claiming that this is her truth, this is her reality, and these are her thoughts and feelings from her point of view. So what assertive claiming would look like is, instead of flat out stating her thoughts on the situation, so for example, you don't care about me, she adds, from my point of view, it seems like, to the beginning of her thoughts. So you don't care about me becomes, from my point of view, it seems like you don't care about me. Two things about this technique that are super effective. Number one, it's much less blamey, much less attacky. All she's doing is describing her experience. And number two, it leaves open the possibility that her thought might not be true. Obviously, thoughtful Thea doesn't want to be right that her partner doesn't care about her. So by framing her worry in this way, that this is something that seems to be true, not necessarily that it is true, it gives her a better chance at her partner giving her the reassuring response that she's looking for. Step number 6, do not ask for or demand an apology. Accusatory Abby might say, "You owe me an apology," which only makes her partner more resistant to giving her an apology. I don't like being told how I should think or feel or behave, and I have a feeling you don't either. It just makes you feel like a child. And besides, if the other person apologizes only because we force them to, it wouldn't be a meaningful apology anyways. Thoughtful Thea also obviously hopes to get an apology, and if she doesn't get one right away, yeah, she's disappointed. But she also knows that her partner probably just needs some time to process, and then they eventually will apologize. And so instead of forcing her partner to apologize right away, she gives them the space to consider what she said and come to a place of feeling apologetic on their own. Step 7 is the other step that I've added, which is to close out by stating your need. If you've ever had a boss who was really bad at giving feedback, you probably also know how bad it feels to be told that you're doing a bad job without being given any direction on how you can do better. It sucks. It's confusing, and it also feels like the only purpose of that feedback was to reprimand you rather than to help you improve and grow, which is what it should be about. Feedback in relationships works the same. We want to make the other person feel like we want them to be the best they can be in this relationship, and that we are here to help them succeed at that. And we can do that by following our criticism with what we need from them instead. So in Thoughtful Thea's case, she might say something like, "I need you to have your phone away on date nights, and I need to feel like I have your full attention." And this way, she sets the relationship up for success. She is more likely to get her needs met now that she has made them clear to her partner. Step 8, stand on your highest ground, whether a defensive wrongdoer hears you or not. Even if we follow these steps to a T and we deliver the perfect non-attacky criticism, there are still some people who will undoubtedly still get defensive and that still won't apologize. And this is really tough. A lot of the times, not getting an apology hits harder than the thing they did that hurt us in the first place. Harriet Lerner suggests that to lower our chances of disappointment in case we're dealing with someone like this, we should reduce our expectations down to 0 for getting the response that we're looking for. And instead of going into conversations with the goal of getting the other person to hear us and to apologize, we should go in only with the goal of speaking our truth, because this is the ground that we want to stand on, irrespective of what kind of response we get. We have no control over how the other person responds. What we do have full control over is how we respond and making sure that we show up to the conversation as our best, most mature, most evolved self. And that way we can leave the conversation feeling good about ourselves no matter how the other person responds. Also, if this does happen and the other person refuses to see our side and they refuse to apologize, it really helps to know that this has nothing to do with us. Some people are potatoes when it comes to emotional intelligence. Harriet Lerner calls these individuals entrenched non-apologizers, which is much more eloquent, but she explains that these individuals can't apologize because they walk on a tightrope of defensiveness above a huge canyon of low self-esteem. And self-esteem, emotional intelligence are only things that that person can work on for themselves. That's not something that we can do for them. That's not something that has anything to do with us. As crushing as it might be to realize that there is nothing we can say or do to get an apology from them, it is also so liberating, and it is such a relief because it gives us permission to finally let go and accept the situation as it is. And now, instead of putting in energy trying to get an empathetic response from someone who isn't capable of giving one, we can instead redirect that energy towards our own healing. This is advanced stuff we're talking about, okay? This is a skill that takes effort and practice to build. So I really hope that you can be patient with yourself as you are building this skill, and it will be well worth it, I promise. If you're looking to keep learning about how to have hard conversations and make them easier, I would recommend checking out this video next on how to handle conflict when you hate conflict. Also, if you have any suggestions or requests for me on relationship related videos, I would love to hear them, so please let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to deliver. But in any case, as always, I hope you are doing well and I will see you next time. Bye.